Dear students, good day to you. I am Dr. V. Premla Priyadarshini here with you to teach you on the topic Industrial Food Service. Today's presentation of mine will have a brief introduction on Industrial Food Service, the objectives of this module, the history of Industrial Food Service, a glimpse on various food service industries and the recent advancement in food service sector, and of course a summary of what we have learned. Food service or catering industry defines those business, institutions and companies responsible for any meal prepared outside the home. Food service industry includes restaurants, schools, hospital cafeteria, catering operations and many other formats. The food activities, services and business functions involved in preparing and serving food to people eating away from home. It includes all types of restaurant from a fine dining to a fast food. It also includes institutional food operations at locations such as schools and hospitals, as well as other specialty vendors such as food truck operators and catering business. Today's food service industry make up to 10% of total workforce in the United States, which amounts to 14.4 billion workers, and 14% of total workforce in India. The evolution of cuisine. The way in which food is prepared and served has evolved dramatically since the onset of classical French cooking in the 18th and 19th century. Yesteryears of French chefs had an elaborate style. Their creations were very rich and many recipes required several hours or even several days of advanced preparations. Garnishes and service embellishment were also very elaborate, and a large number of courses were served in succession to create a grand experience. The cuisine itself is known as a grande or a haute cuisine, and its purpose is not just to be fed, it is to indulge and enjoy a full gastronomic experience. Quite interesting, isn't it? Thus, cuisines made their way for the origin of food service industry. To tell you, the concept of preparing food as a craft and a form of business can be traced all the way back to the 11th century in medieval glebe. Glebes are made up of various types of merchants and craftsmen, and each glebe provided a specialized goods and services to the community. They established more of an organized system with local economies and allowed people to purchase and trade from a variety of highly specialized vendors. Bakers and butchers are the two types of specialized food craftsmanship. The glebe members would pass on their knowledge to a new generation by hiring apprentices. These apprentices would train under the established expert and learn the specific skills required of the profession. The glebe system eventually fell out of favor in economic system, but the concept of apprenticeship is still very common in culinary profession today, and many young chefs learn their craft through mentorship and job shadowing under the guidance of experienced chefs and food professionals. Now, what do you think are the types of food service operations? Basically, there are two types of food service operations. Yes, you're right, the commercial and the non-commercial. Let us see what a commercial food service system is all about. A commercial food service, sometimes referred to as market-oriented food service, is the largest and most recognizable form of food service operation in the world, accounting for approximately 77% of food expenditure outside the people's home. You will recognize commercial food service operations as you drive around your town, down the hillway with large fluorescent sign advertising idlis, dosas, biryanis, hamburgers, pizzas and submarine sandwiches. Commercial food service includes fast foods and full service restaurants, bars, nightclubs, catering and banquet events, recreation and leisure outlets. The main goal is to provide food and beverage to customer for profit and creating positive guest experience. You may also find commercial food service operators in sports stadiums and on airlines and cruise ship. Retail stores that offers prepared meals such as supermarkets and convenience stores as well as vending machines can also be identified as commercial ventures. Whereas a non-commercial food service, on the other hand, is a cost-oriented enterprise that prepares and serves meal as a secondary support service to educational institutions and other organizations. Non-commercial food service accounts for about 23% of food expenditure outside the home. Non-commercial food service operation also exists inside an organization such as schools, hospitals or business. You can even find a non-commercial food service operation in corporations, healthcare facilities, schools, military or government installations. For them, providing food and beverage is not the primary goal of the organization, but a secondary goal offered in support of the establishment's main purpose. For example, non-commercial operation exists in secondary and higher secondary school education, hospitals, nursing homes, military bases and childcare centers. A university, for example, has the primary goal of educating students to enter the workforce, but offers cafeteria and other food service support its primary goal. You could also find a non-commercial enterprise in a business that chooses to offer a cafeteria or a dining facilities to its employees. So how does a commercial food service differ from a non-commercial food service? Here we go. A commercial restaurant operates on a profit basis, meaning they rely on profit to stay in business. Non-commercial ventures are typically subsidized by the institutions from which they operate. Commercial restaurants are typically privately owned by an independent operator or a franchise owner or a chain itself. Non-commercial food service operations are owned and operated by an overseeing organization, a public school for instance, and in case of cafeteria. Commercial food service are food service operations found in lodging properties, clubs, restaurants and other business that exist to make a profit from the sales of food and beverage production. The commercial segment makes up to 80% of the restaurant and food service industry. Types of food service within the system includes restaurants, catering, banquets, retail, stadium, airlines and cruise ship. Let us now see some of the commercial food service operation. A restaurant. There are many types of restaurants including quick serve fine dining, casual theme restaurants, buffet and cafeterias. Caterings and banquets. In the catering and banquet segment, the menu is chosen by the host of an event for a specified number of people. Retail. A retail store offers prepared meal that can be eaten in the store or taken home. These products can be found in supermarkets, convenience stores and specialty shops selling limited items such as coffee, donuts and candies. Stadium. The food offered at stadium stretches from the peanuts in the stand to the fine dining in the luxury suite. Some stadiums have a privately run food service operations. However, most use large-scale contractors to handle the business. Cruise ship. Options range from casual dining and buffet to elegant dinner to a room. Food selection varies as well, from steak to vegetarians to children's meal and pizza. Cruise ship may serve up to several thousands of meals at each seating. Airlines, especially on long-distance flights, will offer meals, sometimes more than one, to help passengers adjust to their time difference. These range from a simple beverage in short-haul economic class to a 7-course gourmet meal using a real dish and a glassware on a long run. Non-commercial food service. The non-commercial food service segment could be defined as an operation including colleges and universities, K-12 school districts, healthcare, retail meal solutions, convenience stores, travel centers, lodging in hotels, recreation, travel, business and industry, military, daycare, group purchasing organizations and food service management firms. The non-commercial segment represents about 20% of food service industry. This segment prepares and serves food in support for some other establishments' main functions or purpose. The cafeteria at a local university supports the school goal of educating students by serving them meal so that they have the energy to participate in the class and activities. Categories in this segment include schools and universities, the military, the healthcare, the business and industries and club. The food service industry consists of many players to keep track of many different channels for getting products to market and many different strategies that can lead to success or failure in the space. Addition to this, the rapid pace of change in food service industry technology as well as an ever-changing regulatory environment add up to a big challenge for a new and even established manufacturer and a distributor in the food service industry. Remember, whatever may be the type of food service, the top 3 things as a food personnel we need to know about the industrial food service is the food supply chain is highly complex, regulations and safeties are key concern, recent technological advancements. Now let us understand each component in detail. The food supply chain is highly complex. When we think of the food service industry, we typically think of the retail and restaurant establishments that sell food directly to customers. But those players are just the tip of an iceberg that represent an extremely complex food service supply chain. In order for food to reach the retailer and end consumers, it is actually follows a rather complicated path fully of highly specialized players. Here are the few players that typically involved in food service industry. The manufacturer representatives, also called as food brokers, manage the process of selling food directly to stores on behalf of the manufacturer. They typically outsource the logistic of delivery to a third party. Wholesale distributors manage the process of selling, storing and delivering the food products. The wholesale distributor differ from manufacturer representatives in that they physically take possession of and handle the food and are often in charge of logistic and end consumers marketing effort. A self-distributing retailer on a large retail chain like Walmart, Safeway, Targets are both retailers and distributors with their own logistic network and distribution centers located in regional hubs around the country. If the retailer has its own truck, it is typically a self-distributing retailer. Food service representatives or reps, similar to the manufacturer rep, food service reps sell food to restaurants but do not physically store or deliver products or handle logistics. Wholesale food service distributors. Food service distributors buy and sell products while handling the logistics involved with getting foods from manufacturer to the retailer or to the restaurant stockroom. Self-distributing food service. Similar to a large retail chain, there are restaurant chains so large that they handle their own food service distribution. Like McDonald's and Golden State Foods are probably the best known for these. Again, if the restaurant has its own truck, it is likely to be self-distributing. The second important factor is regulation and safety are the key concern. Food safety is a big cause of concern and hence plays a big role in how things get done in the food service industry. There are numerous regulatory bodies involved in regulating the food service industry. They include the Food and Drug Administration, the USDA, the FSSAI is well known for more than 3,000 state, local and regional agencies. These agencies work together and independently to create a complex set of food safety standards that govern how food is manufactured, distributed and handled in the United States and in India. There are also regulatory bodies outside the United States that impact the global food industry. In a world where much of the food we eat every day is globally sourced, this results in a highly complex and consistently changing set of regulation that governs the industry. Recently, technology has made it possible to dramatically improve food safety with enhanced track and trace capability that provides more data about how food has been handled thoroughly through a supply chain. Best practices in this area have in turn enabled regulators to increase regulations in effort to improve food safety. Currently, the FDA and USDA are rewriting the rules around food handling in cooperation with industries insiders as part of Food Safety Modernization Act. Students, never forget that technology always plays a big role in enabling food safety regulation to become more stringent, and this trend is likely to continue as technology such as Internet of Things makes it possible to gather more data. Another major issue in the food service industry is standardization around labeling, product descriptions and claims. Government organizations at the states, federal and international levels may have different regulations around food labeling for food designated as organic, genetically modified, natural, healthy or other categories. These are often highly regulated and subject to change as well depending on the market. The third important component in recent technological advancement which has to lead to a very big leap in food service sector. So let us now educate ourselves on the current technological avenues or challenges before us in detail. As indicated with the continued emphasis on food safety, traceability and regulation, technology plays a key role in food service industry. This role is likely only to expand in the coming years. Food service companies are increasingly expected to be supply chain technology companies. Two supply chain technologies that are having a growing impact on the food service industry includes mobile apps and devices. Mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets are revolutionizing how food service industry companies are ordering food, tracking it through the supply chain, paying for it and managing by placement on stores and warehouse shelves. Mobile order management and payment apps now enable order to be placed anywhere simply by tapping a device, eliminating the need for a paper form. As the technology improves, it will also help the managing distribution warehouses and manufacturing process as mobile devices become more integral in the supply chain. IoT and big data. As more devices become more connected to Internet of Things, from containers and pallets to truck, forklifts, even the products that are used in food service supply chain such as cold storage refrigerator, coffee makers, manufacturers and distributors will have access to more data that can help them trace, track, manage food supply in their supply chain. As regulations tightens, companies that succeed must learn to leverage this data effectively. Indian consumers are increasingly dining out, particularly in urban areas, and urbanization changing lifestyles and food preferences are giving importance to the F&B industry. Food-based app technology is evolving. People are becoming extremely tech savvy, and so the year 2017 is bound to see an increase in the use of table reservation apps, food-based apps. Customers will be able to book tables in advance. Restaurants will be able to keep efficient tabs on consumer demand, especially so on busy nights. Multi-cuisine India is a growing market where consumer preference keep evolving. Indians today are well-traveled, educated and savvy. They know their food and demand more than just one type of cuisines. They enjoy experimenting when it comes to food. Hence, multi-cuisines is one big trend to watch out in the coming years. Casual dining. The restaurant industry in India is mainly driven by young population which opt for casual dining even when they want to catch up with friends. Indian consumers are increasingly dining out, particularly in urban areas, and urbanization, changing lifestyle and food preference are giving impetus to food and beverage industry. Customer trends are gradually moving from the fine dining to a more casual dining culture, and the trend is expected to continue in the coming years. Food service latest offering is premium casual dining. Quick service restaurants are the mainstay of Indian food service market. They have established themselves in major cities and are now expanding into smaller cities with smaller format. To withstand the competition, most of the players are consuming their menu in terms of flavor, pricing and service to meet Indian consumers' inclinations. Indian booming QSR market and domestic versus foreign brand. Malls and villas will be preferred locations. Existing restaurant brands and also new brands are now eyeing the shopping malls as their preferred location to create family dining option. This especially since various research reports have indicated that even in the time of financial distress, people will continue to eat out and the F&B industry will be constantly growing. Factors like value for money, quality service, experimentation in cuisines have become the core competency of any restaurant in the industry. Considering the food revolution and consumers' preference and with the aim to expanding their business and tap more customers, the restaurant brand do not want to leave the malls untouched. Entrepreneurs' entry in industry passion doesn't just drive entrepreneurs, it often leads them to their highest, best opportunity. With education and travel comes knowledge and understanding of food. The love for food and the curiosity to experiment will give the industry new entrepreneurs who are bound to bring with them new concepts, themes, chef-led innovations. 2017 will be ripe for home-ground successful entrepreneurs to invest their knowledge, expertise and experience in helping young business grow, because this is what industry need to keep evolving so that we can set the standard high. So students, to summarize, to take up the role of an administrator in any food service industry, it is mandatory that we update ourselves with the current technology around us. This era of information technology has given us a new challenges and opportunity to our industrial growth in terms of softwares and mobile apps. As hospitality industry always strives hard towards customer satisfaction, let us do it with a personal touch empowered with technology. Thank you for listening. Enrich yourself with more learning. Have a good day.